A judge has decided that he will not seal the records of a lawsuit involving the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones. Now, a former exotic dancer is alleging that back in 2009, he sexually assaulted her. And of course, his camp is saying that the lawsuit is frivolous, and as a result, they should seal the records so his name doesn't get dragged through the mud as a result of the frivolous lawsuit. However, the judge has said, no, I am in favor of transparency, so as a result, I will not seal the records. However, I am issuing a gag order, so lawyers will be unable to speak to the press about this particular case. Now, the woman in question here is seeking $1 million in damages. Let me give you the details on that. Her name is Jana Weckerly, and she's seeking more than $1 million in damages after an encounter with Jones in May or June of 2009 at a local five-star hotel. She claims the married, now 71-year-old father of three groped her and made her watch while another woman performed oral sex on him.
I'm very skeptical about this lawsuit.
I am too. Yeah.
I think Jerry Jones is put in a tough spot, and this is one of the price, I guess, of fame, but it's not a price you didn't ask for and you don't deserve, right? If he's innocent. Now, the reason I'm skeptical about it is who forces you to stay in a room and watch a blowjob? Like, why can't you? Did he put a gun to your head? No, there's no claim of that, right? So here's a former exotic dancer who seemed to be having a good time that night, but all of a sudden, how many years later? 5 years later, decides, no, I wasn't having a good time that night. He did like Jedi mind tricks and made me sit down and watch the oral sex.
So this case is actually already past the statute of limitations. So as a result, there will be a hearing to decide whether or not this case will even go forward. But remember, this is a civil lawsuit, and she didn't come to the authorities until now. Well, not even to the authorities. She didn't file the lawsuit until now, and this apparently happened back in 2009.
So now, is it possible that somebody decides later that they actually were sexually assaulted? Of course it's possible, right? And the judge is put in a tough spot because Jerry Jones says, look, this is like a way of extorting me, right? Because now it's out in the public, and I'm married. Now you know about the oral sex, and you know about the pictures, etc. And that's not fair to me, right? And she's going to get what she wants since I didn't pay her. I have to pay the price of all this being exposed. He's right about that. That does suck if he's innocent, right? Yes. But the judge made a really good point that I want to share with you guys. He said, either fortunately or unfortunately, I also served in the legislature, and I have a deep faith and belief in open courts and the public's right to know and the press's right to report. I don't always agree with them, and I've not always thought that they cast me in a fair light, but the flip side is to allow certain interests to control what is seen by whom and when. That's why we have open courts. Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Yeah,
so
it's a very principled point that I really respect.
So he's saying, look, if I say yes, I'm going to seal all the records here and nothing's going to be public, when it normally would be public, I'm allowing someone who has tremendous power and privilege in the state of Texas to keep things closed up. But if you keep things closed up, that has negative consequences down the road.
Absolutely.
We have freedom of the press for a reason. So it sucks for Jerry Jones that he's going to have to bear the brunt of the downside here, because the opposite would be an even worse situation.
Yeah, I think the opposite would definitely be an even worse situation, because if we weren't able to know the details of the case, and if he genuinely is innocent, then all we can do is speculate as to what happened. We can speculate about the evidence, and we can speculate as to whether or not her claims are true, which quite honestly, we just did now, right? We speculated as to whether or not she was telling the truth. But you don't want to rely on speculation. You want to see evidence that's provided, and that's how he's going to clear his name.
So one last thing about this. If you're famous, I'm surprised anyone famous still cheats, right? Because somebody's going to want money, right? And you know, now a lot of times famous people do terrible things for which they go to court, criminal, civil, etc. And boy, should they, right? But a lot of times people make it up so that they can get paid. So now I got no love for Jerry Jones. I think he's got a tremendous ego. He's ruined the Cowboys in a lot of ways. I don't love him as the owner of the Cowboys. And as a person, he seems like not the guy that I would necessarily have a beer with, right?
Jesus Christ.
But now, look, on that night, everyone else involved seems to indicate that they were having consensual fun, right? Well, if you're rich, or famous, or not rich, but famous, you're not gonna have that anymore, because there's no such thing as privacy. Somebody's gonna sue you for, I don't even know what that is. Okay, I don't think I wanna know. Okay, somebody's going to sue you and try to make some money off of you. So it's a new day, and so now we have that situation. The judge is right. We got to see it because the alternative is worse. But overall, it does suck for Jerry Jones, and I say that with no bias whatsoever in favor of Jerry Jones.